Greeting exiles and fellow champs, I've got another one of these going nowhere builds that will remain forever etched onto the torn tapestry called Melee and Path of Exile. But it ain't all that bad, you see. You get to play a Slayer, Wings of Entropy kinda looks like a flying V. You get Soul Eater every once in a while. If you manage to see that rare mob, then see its health bar, then aim for the call and hope that your totems or golems or some dot or anything won't finish it off. You get Splattered in Night Fever, AoE, Bursts of Adrenaline, and clicking more buttons than an Affliction Warlock. But once you've greased all its gears, man, that tractor ain't stopping for no one. Let me tell ya, it's one of these meme builds that won't win any prizes, unless it's a reward for worst supporting build for my next build that I'm working on with the same type of setup, but note, it ain't melee for sure. In any case, Vaal Cleave's been something I wanted to scrap up ever since I saw it being revealed. I knew it was gonna be subpar. Cleave wasn't anything good, why would Vaal Cleave be? It does have a few interesting mechanics and interactions, but even these fall short and make the skill a nightmare to use and manage, something you will probably see in the video. So let me go ahead and point out this ain't a guide, at least not one of these guys that could get you through Ubers. It's not a 150 million 0 HP no hit Sanctum run guide or anything like that. It's more of an appeal. GGG, please fix melee. But why the rant? Why do I say that melee sucks? Look at how damage is dealt in the game lately. You get to do your damage via proxy, you rely on traps, you rely on totems, you rely on brands, off-screen mechanics and all that shit that makes you feel like the third wheel. And melee kinda runs on momentum, and sure you can pummel down the whole map with a few shrines and your adrenaline and your drop banner and shit like that. But once you've entered that boss room, it all evaporates, and not to mention how awful it is in the Sanctum. Look at all these 150 million DPS builds and guides. They're all with spells. We've had one for melee, and that's that General Christ Blade Flurry shit that even melee. It's yet again damage dealt via proxy. There is one Cleave build on PoE Ninja right now. If anything, that guy out there deserves a prize. But back to the character that I'm currently building and trying to min-max. It is a Slayer, as I've already pointed out. It utilizes a Replica Wings of Entropy, which counts both towards dual wielding and a two-handed weapon. So that adds a lot of diversity when it comes to passive tree acrobatics. We have some decent block and dual wield nodes in the dualist starting area, as well as two-handed, as well as the mastery that gives you rage, but I'll talk about that in a minute. My damage is scaled through brutal charges from Arn's belt, and these I equalize with my frenzy charges through the Slayer's Masterful Form. And then you have a decent chunk of damage from Overwhelm, which synergizes pretty well with Replica's Wings of Entropy. I currently avoid Brutality, and I don't want to use a Starforge for the same reason. I want to leave that elemental door open. I don't want to lose damage when I accidentally call a damage conversion mold from a rare that I'm not seeing on the map. So if you happen to be running Brutality and you cannot deal any elemental damage and you get something like 50% of damage converted to whatever, you're gonna lose a big chunk of damage. So if you go Voidforge, however, that would be a whole different scenario, but my setup combined costs less than a Voidforge currently, so I'm trying to build it on a decent budget. So if you can see in the background, the build does run on momentum, and I spec into shrines, strong boxes, legions, all of that stuff that adds as many rares as possible, giving you more chances to go steal those mods. And that is where the skill's best gimmick kind of becomes its biggest downside, because I don't know if that animation, the culling animation where that guy with the scythe reaches out and swings, I'm not sure if that thing is scaled with animation speed or your attacks. I'm sure it's not scaled with your attack speed, because it slows the whole universe down as I click it. But it's a thing that either gets you killed or makes you miss the actual cull. I'm not sure how that works, but I feel it should be addressed. It should be somehow tweaked. looked at by GGG the next time they decide to look into melee, probably 10 years from now or something. And given the game's visual clarity, you can guess where this is going. It ain't a fun thing to watch out for. To speak of the devil, here's the actual character and what he looks like, what he's wearing. As I've said, Replica Wings of Entropy, a helmet with resistances in life, and the 40% increased cleave damage. That enchant could be bought for a couple of chaos. I mean the base with that enchant. You can then just craft around that base and hit what you want. You could also get increased attack speed and increased AoE if I'm not mistaken for cleave. Then you can just add your Eldritch modifiers and what suits your setup best. Then we got All's Uprising. I've allocated Fervor for 1 to maximum frenzy charges. Pride has no reservation. That is a big one because else I can't fit my auras in. That is probably the most expensive piece of the whole thing. Random steel rings, just life accuracy if you can get it, fizz damage, resistances, life, blah blah blah. You know the drill. The armor is basic life resistances again. I've managed to hit a pride has 20% something increased aura effect. I'm not sure how rare that modifier is, but you can. I bet everyone has tons of Eldritch currency now, so you can just roll it until you hit one that suits you fine. The gloves, Ceaseless Feast. There's actually 2 types of cleave characters that I've seen. One type uses these gloves, the other type uses Chaos Spirit, the ones that give you rage or life regen or something like that. But since we have Vaal Pact and since that gives more damage and I found a way to get rage via another way, I just went with that because it's a way to maintain my frenzy and endurance charges, which is the main gimmick of the build. So I bought one with +1 maximum frenzy charges as a corruption. I'm not sure how expensive these can get because no one's using that currently. It's probably something that won't inflate anytime soon. Arn's Anguish, my favorite belt, converts your endurance charges to brutal charges. And you know, brutal charges give you some chance to deal triple damage, so that's what we want to scale up. And then before I got these, I was using Ralakesh's Impatience, being stationary, gaining all my charges up, hitting. But I had to find a way to get more frenzy charges, and Dark Ray Vectors give +1 to frenzy charges. The downside is you don't have movement speed on that. So what that means is you start the map really slow, and once you hit the first pack, you hit enemies that have no evasion rating because corrosion inflicts that, and you get your frenzy charges and endurance charges up in no time, so you actually don't need that anymore. I mean, with the first couple of hits you land, you get all your charges up. And the Assassin's Mark gives me a bit power charges, you know, every once in a while. I was trying to find a way to scale AoE with vast power, which is a notable on a cluster jewel, you know, but having more power charges on a Slayer is a pain in the ass, and I kind of abandoned that effort. So all in all, that is the playstyle. You get your endurance and frenzy charges up. You get, let me just show it. You get rage from your mastery because you hit with an axe, and you pop berserk every once in a while. Once you have that rage, you drop your banner once you get a tough single target encounter, and you press Blood Rage every once in a while as well. That gives you frenzy charges as well if you don't happen not to get them from the corrosion hits. And basically that is about it. On the Lion's Roar, Sin's Rebirth, that gives you some Unholy Might. Bottle of Fate, yeah, Bottle of Fate could go a bit expensive, but I think at that point of the league, you could afford a couple of divines for that, or you've already have it from another build, because every damn build uses it. The links, Berserk, Increased Duration, Blood and Sand, Molten Shell. Blood and Sand, I switch in between Blood and Sand stances, depending on the situation. I map with Sand stance, I hit bosses with Blood stance, it's more damage. Blood Rage, Precision, I dropped my Golem, I think. I don't have a Golem anymore because I don't have space to put it in. But you can get decent levels on Precision and still have some mana left. Vaal Ancestral War Chief, these bad boys hit like mad. They will tear up the shit out of everything, so be sure to pop them every once in a while. Cleave, Awaken Melee Fizz, because I don't have enough intelligence to get increased crit damage. If you have more intelligence, just use increased crit damage, because Awaken Melee Fizz lowers your attack speed, and that's a bummer. Pulverize, because you need that AoE. Impale for me, close combat, multi-strike. Then we have Pride, Mark and Hit with Assassin's Mark, Determination. I'm going for Armor, Leap, faster attacks, Fortify, War Banner. War Banner is for the Adrenaline. I couldn't find a suitable use for Timeless Jewels and Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. The ideal weight is to go Master of Metal if you have the buck for it. If not, Outmatch and Outlast is 20 chaos or something, so that's a cheaper option. The cluster setup is just attack speed, some damage, and get as much as AoE as you can get. I used to have Vast Power, but it was kind of not quite relevant, so I went for Pressure Points, Magnifier, Expansive Might. You stand still for a bit and you get AoE. That is nice. Watcher's Eye, some fizz damage, armor. Yeah, I'm currently using armor as a defense. I get up to 35k armor. Fizz hits are not an issue. You could face tank Eater of Worlds, for example, but you die from consecutive hits from spells, and that's something you have to figure out on your own, because I'm still trying to figure it out as well. I'll also leave the PoE in the description. As you can see, with all the perfect alignment of the stars, you can get up to like 6 million or something DPS. That is, of course, with your Rage and Berserk and all of that, and I'm not counting the Adrenaline. If we get Adrenaline, you get a bit more, but yeah, I mean, that's without Master of Metal. With Master of Metal, we could probably go up to 8-9 million or something like that. The idea is to build more defenses now, so that's what I probably aim to do. I'm gonna leave you with a T16 Massacre. Yeah, Massacre sounds about right now. You can see how the build starts a bit slow, then ramps up, and it's a fun playstyle. It's fast, it's a bit less nauseating than Vaal Flicker Strike in any case. So if you like that type of playstyle, and if you have some of that gear lying around from previous characters, you can try it out. Of course, Void Forge setup would be better, but it's a bit more expensive. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Stay sane.